Importing and exporting data between CSV and SQLite Database using SQL. In this tutorial, I will show you how to import data from a CSV file into an SQLite database using SQL commands, and also how to export data from an SQLite database to a CSV file. This process is commonly used when working with structured data and performing database operations. The prerequisites to follow along would be that you have a basic understanding of SQL and have SQLite installed on your system. Additionally, you should have a CSV file containing the data you wish to import. Step 1 then is to install SQLite. If you don't have SQLite installed already on your system, you can download it from the official website, which is www.sqlite.org/download. And follow the instructions for your operating system. Step 2 is creating an SQLite database. To create an SQLite database, open a command prompt or a terminal and navigate to the directory where you want to create the database file. So in my case, it's C Data SQLite, and I will navigate to it by doing CD and then this location here. Then run the following command: SQLite mydatabase.db, and this will create a new SQLite file named mydatabase.db, and you can replace my database with the name you prefer. Step 3 is to import data from a CSV into the SQLite database. Once you have the SQLite database created, you can use SQL commands to import data from a CSV file. The SQL command to import the data from the CSV file is import. So this is how we do it when we're in the command prompt and we're in SQLite. Switch to CSV mode and then import. Like this. So the .mode CSV command sets the mode to CSV and the import command imports the data from the CSV file into the specified table in the SQLite database. Replace the path with the actual path of your CSV file and table name with the desired name for your table. Step 4 is querying the SQLite database. So after importing the data, you can perform various SQL commands to manipulate and analyze the data in the SQLite database. And here are a few useful SQL commands. Select to retrieve data from one or more tables. Insert into to insert new records into a table. Update to modify existing records in a table. delete from to remove records from a table. So we will do these in dbeaver. First we will connect to the database that we just created. And we'll do this from the connection here. SQLite, next. And we will just open the file. So now we have the connection here, and we can see the table that we created, and we can do a select from that table that we just created by creating a new SQL file and just typing in select star from that table name. And this shows us the data that we have that came from the CSV. If we scroll right down to the bottom, to the end, we see it gets to 3,000 rows. The next thing we can do is we can insert into the table. Just insert a new row. We're going to do this twice. The first one will be to just insert a load of values beginning with 2 or 20. Just some fake values that I created. So if I run this with Control Enter, that inserts one row, and I will do the same again, but with some slightly different values beginning with 3. And well, I will do this with a highlight and then Control Enter. And then if I go back and do a select that I had here before to see what I've just inserted, scroll to the very end, and I can see that there are these 2 new rows that I created just now using inserts. So now I want to do an update. So let's say I want to do an update on this row here. Let me select this row by itself. So this will identify just this row, and I'm going to do an update on the second column here by doing this. And what this says is update the latitude column to begin with 4, where the longitude is -200. I just highlight that and Control Enter that, and then if I go and select again to see what has happened to my update, I see that the latitude has now changed to begin with 4. So the next thing I can do is a delete. So if I select all of this table, and I scroll to the very end, like I did before, I see I have these two rows that I created myself using the insert. And I can change this by deleting one of the rows. I'm going to delete the row that is the one right at the very end that begins with -300. And the command for that is to delete from this table where the longitude is equal to -300. So if I just highlight and run this, then if I go back and select again and see what I have done by scrolling right to the very end, you'll see that that row has disappeared, the row that began with a -300. So that's manipulation of data once it's inside an SQL database. And now we're going to do exporting data from an SQLite database to CSV. So to do this, we will pop back into the command prompt and we will see that the place where we want to do this, actually before we go into the command prompt, the place where we want to do this is in sample data. We imported it from here and we're going to export it to a backup, but with the SQL name in it. So you will see it populated here after as a CSV file. And when we go back into the command prompt, what we do is just make sure that we're inside CSV mode. And then the headers are on. And then we use the output command, the .output command. And you see here we are outputting the database that we're connected to and the table we're interested in to go to this file here. But we haven't specified the table yet, so we do that first and then we type in select from this table, select star from this table, and then if we go back to our Explorer in VS Code, we see that it has created this file here, which is the CSV output from the table from the database. And if we go into this CSV, we can see that it is the CSV that we're interested in. Let me just remove the command prompt so that you can see this is the CSV and this is the, if I click this again, here you will see this is the contents of the CSV. And at the end, you see this is the 200 row of data, starting with all the 2's and -200 as the start. And And this proves that this is the actual data that is coming from the database that we manipulated in SQL. So to do that output, we used the mode CSV command that sets the output mode to CSV. Dot headers on includes the column headers in the output, and dot output specifies the path and file name for the export of the CSV file. Replace the path with the desired path and file name, and table name with the name of the tables you want to export. So in conclusion, this tutorial has helped us to learn how to import data from a CSV file into an SQLite database using SQL commands. We also explored basic SQL operations for querying the database and exporting data from an SQL database to a CSV file. This knowledge will be valuable for managing structured data and performing database operations using SQL. Remember to adapt the file paths and the table names to match your specific case, and additionally explore the SQLite documentation for more advanced SQL operations and options that are available for working with databases.